Good morning. Welcome to the channel. Okay, this is a attempt to respond to some rather good questions from Reed, from FireLogic, from Einrasha. So I suppose the first thing, the first thing is, what is this challenge? So his challenge was, how does complete and accurate use? How do you use and do complete and accurate? Which is a fascinating question. And I guess what I have to do is expand completeness into the analogical, which I don't think I've quite done. I've had completeness as a deeply analytical, deeply analytical practice for the formation of concept webs, of concept systems, and okay, so here we go. I would say that the analogical nature of completeness is to be aware of the boundaries around in between systems. It is to intuit them, to see them, if you will. I think those are kind of the same thing. I think intuition is kind of a imagistic grasping of the world, but because it is imagistic, it has to be open hand, right? It has to picture, scan, grab the whole instead of the part. The grasp of the left hand must be so wide as to appear as if it is not closing, something like that. All right. Okay. So, and that is not only in the completeness of those systems which can be observed, but it is in the completeness of those that cannot be observed through overlapping patternistic repetitions that emerge pattern of pattern behavior. Patterns which overlap over time, over systems, over observation, over all things. That's why it is a pattern of patterns. It is all the patterns and the patterns that emerge from all the patterns. So that's how completeness functions analogically. When you are using it, you are using it analogically. When you're using it analytically, you are building definitions and terms and sentences. And the thing is that every statement can function as a definition, right? A definition is simply what we think of as a definition is a definition codified. But when I say, the assassination of President Kennedy, or if I say I'm going to the store, these are statements about the world, right? They define my actions, they define my behavior, or a behavior, right? So instead of defining a word so that we know what is packed into that term, it's defining a set of behaviors with words, right? With representation. So it's very, very close, and it functions the same way. So I think it's helpful to at times ignore the boundaries between a practical definition, which defines your behavior, and a conceptual definition. Sometimes it's helpful to erase those boundaries just so that you can see the commonality between them, which is an analogical act, right? It's an analogical act to erase that boundary and to see the way the pattern of patterns function between them. Okay, accurate. Accurate. The analytical function of accuracy is to ensure that the way the terms in a sentence are correctly related to syntax and to correctly relate to whatever it is they're pointing at. So if I am going to the store and I say something like store to thee go I, you might be able to understand that, but it's not very accurate. It's interesting. Completeness and accuracy, I've speculated, are in a sense the same thing, right? They're kind of interconnected. They're kind of like do and use are interconnected, because they must be one. Because if you are getting like to the store go I is not accurate according to syntax, but we kind of get it, right? But once some of those words start getting replaced by others, to shelf, go, store, we, especially that we, right? Then understanding and accuracy gets really lost quickly, as well as the completeness. So this is a measurement, if you will, or a standard, which, so far as I can tell, can only be intuited, can only be used analogically. Like the analytical divides and adds, divides and adds, divides and adds, but it gets no sense. It's the paperclip machine, right? The machine that turns everything into a paperclip. That's what the analytical is. The analogical says the world cannot become a paperclip because no one will need paperclips and no one will be alive. Something like that. Analytically, analogically, the this is difficult. The accuracy would be the fidelity of the image. Again, it's a very analogical perspective. It's interesting because it's an analogical tool forged into the analytical, almost pure analytical form, through whatever process you want to call that. But to continue, so the analytical or analogical tool, which is the accuracy. Okay, so accuracy would then be to notice the form, the relationship, the specific relationship of the complete parts list, right? So if you're creating a analogical lexicon, or a complete and accurate lexicon, rather, I've got to come up with a better name that speaks to the grouping. And I guess alignment does to a certain degree, although I don't know. I think I have to define alignment better. I think I have a whole slew of things I mean by alignment, and I haven't truly developed a pure theory of alignment, a pure form theory of an alignment. I think I've just intuited my way through its use. It is okay. I got like a minute. All right, so the analytical, the accuracy. Accuracy is to do accuracy is to be actively engaged in discovering how a system imagistically represents, I think. Because an image shows the pattern, right? An image captures the pattern, whereas it would take nearly forever. It would take a tome of propositions to speak. That's why a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? It would take 1,000 words to try to articulate what's happened imagistically with the resolution, right? Like I can say the man threw the knife and you get a picture in your head, but it may not be the picture that I'm talking about, right? The arc of the knife, the thrust of it, the target. Well, you could draw the target, but maybe not the condition of the target, the color, the shape, the size, like he threw the knife at the apple. Well, what if in the image the apple is as big as a car, right? As ridiculous as that is, you could say giant apple, you could say apple as big as a car. You need more and more and more words. Okay, we get that. Moving on. To do accuracy and completeness is to be in a process of grasping new territory, of grasping new meaning, new understanding. You do completeness and accuracy as a optimized search pattern. It takes more time, I suppose, because you're checking against your intuitions constantly. You are honing your intuitions. You're training your intuitions. You train your intuitions by, and I got to go right after this. You're training your intuitions by checking those intuitions against those of others. And like for me, it was reading lots and lots and lots of philosophy until I felt like I had some perspective on almost all philosophical issues. And once I had that range, I had a kind of completeness, right? And it's never complete, but I've moved towards a level of completeness that allowed me to build my own system, right? To build my own complete and accurate system, which I felt was moved into completeness in areas that other systems were not. Okay, got to clock in. Take care.